Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Was Betrayed and Leaves Konoha, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Despite the fact that his blade was being held at bay, Sugetsu was still confident that he could take this interfering little punk, as was seen by the jagged zigzag-toothed grin he gave the former Leaf Nin. So, it looks like our little Nibby vessel has a bodyguard. Then his eyes narrowed, as he recognized the sword his potential opponent held. That's Zabuza Senpai's blade. What is a peasant like you doing wielding one of the legendary 7 swords of the mist? I shall kill you for taking hold of it with your lowly hands. Naruto shook his head in amusement, as Yugito was set down against a nearby tree by his shadow clone. Lowly hands, huh? Well, better the blade in my hands than yours. Nope, I'm no bodyguard, I just happened to be passing through, when I came across you two ladies picking on that injured girl over there, and I wondered, why are the women of the Akatsuki attacking her? So I thought I would step in and ask you, missus. She's a Jinchuriki like you kit and holds the two-tailed cat demon Nibby within her. Kyuubi voiced out inside Naruto's mind. Naruto relished the chance to blow off some steam, and who better to unleash it upon than the very organization that was causing him and others like him so much grief and pain. The death of these two would make for a fine message to send to Madara. A message that said, "You're next." A tick mark appeared on the faces of both Sugetsu and Deidara, who were not enjoying the insulting verbal jabs of their gender Naruto was saying to them, as they both angrily shouted in unison. "We are not women. Really? Are you sure? I mean, you both look like girls." Naruto commented in general surprise. "Well, we're not. Okay, if you say so, no need to get your panties in a twist." Sugetsu growled in rage before retracting his sharkskin scaled blade in his hand and raised the weapon, indicating he was ready for a fight. "Wait a minute, Sugetsu, I recognize this guy. He's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yuko. I haven't seen him since the war, but I'm sure it's him, Naruto Uzumaki. Huh, this is the guy that defeated Sasuke-sama and the leader back in the war. I'm sure of it. Remember, Sugetsu, we need this guy alive as well as the Nibby vessel. If you do manage to wound him, don't make it lethal, or else Leader Sama will make us pay dearly," Deidara declared, while eyeing the rogue nin with wariness, as he did with all Jinchuriki unless they were belly up and dead. The former rock nin had learned caution the hard way when Sasuke had killed him years ago. If not for the Edo Tensei technique that Madara had used to revive him, Deidara knew he would still dead. Unfortunately, Madara was not as adept with the technique as Orochimaru or his protege Kabuto had been. If he got killed trying to take down the Kyuubi container, there would be no coming back, as the ancient Uchiha had warned him. Deciding that prudence was in order, he stepped back to let his hot-headed partner deal with the Jinchuriki. Sugetsu didn't seem to mind, as he was focused on other matters, particularly of how Naruto had gotten a hold of that weapon. "You have Zabuza's sword and he let you have it." Sugetsu pondered in disbelief of how on earth this Gaki could have obtained the sword without being cursed like most grave robbers and other thieves who had attempted to steal the blade. Does that mean he's unlocked the blade? Deidara was also a bit taken aback when he felt the chakra slowly rising within Naruto to unimaginable levels and thought to himself, "This complicates things." The woman Naruto had rescued, however, seemed to doubt the combat ability of her savior. Using her unbroken hand, she tried to stand up, only for the clone to firmly place a hand on her unbroken shoulder and hold her down, thus preventing her from doing anything rash. Needless to say, she protested to this, but the copy held firm, easily keeping her in place despite her weak attempts to break free. "Barker," she called out, drawing a look from Naruto. You say something." Naruto casually replied in his hollow metallic echo of a voice and with those soulless eyes of his mask staring back at her. "Run," she screamed, as she saw Sugetsu raise his sword to attack. "Run away. I'm a Jinchuriki and I couldn't beat them. What makes you?" She froze in mid-sentence, as red chakra began to bubble around Naruto, and peel off sections of his exposed skin. "Think you can win," was her choked murmur, as not one, not two, but 4 tails of red chakra slowly grew out of the Kyuubi cloak that had enveloped Naruto, and she silently realized. "He's a Jinchuriki too." Naruto raised a red thumb, and for a second she could have sworn she saw him smile, even if it was behind the mask. The blonde Jinchuriki's tone was that of a teacher lecturing an ignorant student, calm but reproachful. True, but you only have the nibby. Now all sections of Naruto's exposed skin had peeled away, leaving his skin red, whilst oddly enough he kept his human appearance, clothing intact and everything. The leaf-missing nin then took up an attack stance, and although his voice was distorted, it was full of pride as well. But I have the nine-tailed Kyubi no Yuko demon, and with his power there is nothing I cannot do, especially against such a weak opponent like her. A second later, he threw back his head and let out an insane cackle, all the while Samehada was on a collision course with his head swung from the right and ready to lop it off in one brutal swing. Either this kid has finally lost it and has gone suicidal, or he actually does have the power to defeat us, and personally, I think it's the latter. Deidara quietly murmured to himself as he watched the battle unfold before him. As the blow came, Naruto simply ducked and it whooshed over his head, the wind current of the blow blowing his blonde hair sharply to the right, as he closed the thumb into his fist. That had been just a little too close for comfort, and looking over his shoulder, narrowed his red, black eyes at the former Mist Shinobi, who had now brought his blade back to the right and was ready to swing again despite the fact that his foe had dodged the first hit. Sugetsu, we need him alive. He's no good to us if you lop off his head. Deidara angrily shouted. Sugetsu paid no heed to his partner, as he didn't care about the leader's plan anymore and only wanted to retrieve Zabuza's sword for himself and to kill this unworthy peasant for daring to wield the weapon in the first place. As the battle began, rain clouds began to slowly come in, blocking off the morning sun and darkening the sky. Thunder began to rumble overhead, and anyone could tell that a storm was brewing up there, and it was going to be big. Sugetsu swung his mighty and spiky-looking sword around once more, and everyone was astonished at the speed to which Naruto leapt over the wide swing and landed deftly on his feet. Unfortunately for Sugetsu, he had put too much effort into that second swing, which had left his sword hanging to the left and out of the way. In other words, he had just left himself wide open. That and the speed at which Naruto had moved was so unexpectedly fast was clouding his reaction time with shock and surprise. Years of training under a Sannin can do that to a guy. Surprised that Sugetsu had given him an opening, Naruto was not one to pass up such an opportunity in a battle. In a flash, his sword was coming down, as his own feet hit the dirt with a small tap. In fact, he just loved that. Oh crap, I just screwed up and now I'm gonna bleed, look his enemies had right before he inflicted his wrath upon them. However, Sugetsu bore no such look, as his was more confident. It was evident by the look on his face, that the former Mist Nin knew he had just blundered, and desperately he tried to bring his weapon about to block the incoming slash. Too slow. Naruto moved in the blink of an eye, easily hefting his own weapon with his right hand, and slashing down on his adversary. Unfortunately, Naruto's blade passed through his opponent's entire body as it had become liquefied in nature somehow. Still think I'm weak? Sugetsu hissed before he solidified and raised Samehada above his head once again and declared with laughing derision. Fool, you might be a better swordsman than I am, but with the enhancements shall we say that Orochimaru did to my body, you can never kill me or even hope to hurt me unless you can figure out a way to defeat water. Ha, ha, ha. You have less brains than you have sword skills, Missy, Naruto declared, smirking at Sugetsu, who looked at the blonde Jinchuriki with confusion. What is the Nine Tails planning? Deidara silently wondered. The smirk on Naruto's face and his insult of his swordsmanship infuriated Sugetsu, and he furiously glared at Naruto before shouting in a rage. Damn you to hell, you bastard, when I get done with you there won't be enough of you left to stuff into a matchbox. Sugetsu then attacked once more, swinging his sword at Naruto in more complex forms related to the art of swordplay, involving a series of jabs, overswings, and underswings. Deidara watched on in fascination, as Naruto easily blocked or dodged all of his partner's sword strikes. This was quite entertaining for him to watch despite the predicament that his comrades seemed to be in. He didn't really care what happened to Sugetsu, as he never really liked him in the first place. The Two Tails Jinchuriki felt like she was going to faint, from either the pain she was in or the shock of seeing this unknown man, practically playing with the Akatsuki member when she had gone all out and not even scratched him. It was almost enough to make her jealous, as she thought. And he's not even using all 9 tails. Naruto dodged almost every single one, almost. The last strike Sugetsu utilized involved a wide arc of a hit that if connected would in all likelihood destroy the upper half of his opponent. Deidara, however, was not thoroughly convinced that Sugetsu would win when the blow made contact with its target. When the blow did connect with Naruto, everyone noticed that the blonde Jinchuriki had plenty of time to dodge the strike, yet he just stood there to take the head-on attack. Idiot. Is he trying to get killed? Was the prevailing thought going through everyone's mind at that moment. But the only thing Naruto did to show he was trying to defend himself was to raise his chakra cloaked his left hand to catch the massive blow Sugetsu had unleashed. Holding onto Samehada tightly, the leaf-missing nin grinned at Sugetsu almost as if he was mocking the Akatsuki member before saying in a bored tone of voice. Is that it? Naruto commented in a bored tone of voice, revealing no pain in his words, but instead of someone who was clearly unimpressed by the attack. A gnawing fear then began to grow within Sugetsu, as he realized that he might be in over his head here. What the hell? Sugetsu exclaimed, suddenly finding himself afraid of someone other than Leader Sama when he was pissed off. As if on cue, Naruto got nasty right then and there, as his tone hardened, dripping with derision and disdain, whilst his chakra pressure suddenly flared around him, causing Sugetsu and Deidara to be rooted where they stood in fear. If this is all you got, Sugetsu, then your reputation among the seven swordsmen of the mist has been clearly exaggerated. Naruto then pushed the shark-like blade away from him with the arm it came in contact with before slowly deepening his grip into the sword with his left hand and releasing a huge amount of killing intent that froze everyone in their place. I don't like a sword that eats my chakra and pigs out on it shortly after getting a taste of what it considers a good meal. Your sword is like big dumb dog, or in this case shark, that can't stop eating until the food is taken away, and frankly it sickens me. Do you even know the inner workings of your sword? Naruto asked in disgust, while pouring more chakra into the sword, but at the same time twisting it and turning it to his very whim. What are you doing? Sugetsu screamed in a panic when he realized that he couldn't pry Samehada away from Naruto or even let go of the blade. Naruto ignored his opponent's terrified question. Did you know the main reason your sword can eat so much chakra is because it has its own small network of tunnels to take that chakra and circulate it around? Samehada does this to let it thin out and dissolve into the sword itself. However, just because this sword absorbs or eats chakra, it doesn't mean the chakra can't be manipulated by the very source it came from. What do you mean? Stammered the now panicking Akatsuki member, former Mist Nin, as he felt his hand which was gripping the sword start to grow hot. What it means, Missy, is even as we speak I'm manipulating the Kyuubi's chakra into your stupid sword. And as I'm sure you're starting to feel that chakra is growing quite hot in temperature. Sugetsu suddenly screamed out in agony and looked down to see his hand holding Samehada begin to boil and bubble, as steam began to arise from it. Even worse, the boiling effect was beginning to travel up his arm towards the rest of his body. Desperately, then former Mist Nin tried to let go of the infamous sharkskin scaled blade in his hand, but to no avail as he heard Naruto say. Don't bother trying to let go, the Kyuubi's chakra has locked your grip onto the sword. You know earlier you stated that I could never kill you or even hope to hurt you unless I could figure out a way to defeat water. Guess what? How about if I turn you into a cloud of steam? Does that hurt, and will that kill you? A scathing cry of agony and anguish was the only answer Naruto received before Sugetsu became an unrecognizable mass of boiling water, which quickly rose into the air as steam before dissipating in the air completely, as Samehada fell to the ground in a thud. Naruto then turned his attention to Deidara only to find that the blonde Akatsuki member had made a hasty exit during his battle with Sugetsu. Naruto flashed a devious grin and was about to pursue the fleeing former rock nin when he suddenly stopped and now sensed a distinct chakra signature he recognized with annoyance, causing his red chakra cloak to recede back into him, as he growled out in anger. You can come out, team, I can sense you now. Out of the shadows stepped Sasuke Uchiha, who walked calmly towards Naruto while saying, Nice job with the water freak Dobe. Screw your praise, Uchiha, what do you want? I'm here under orders from Lady Tsunade to take you back to the village, Naruto. Well then you wasted a trip, team, because I'm not going back. I'm done with Leaf Village now and forever. Quit being unreasonable, Dobe. I don't know what caused you to leave the village, but you can't stay out here. Madara and the other Akatsuki members we weren't able to finish off during the war are still out there. If they get a hold of the Kyuubi no Yuko, it will be the death of you and the end of us all. You need to come back to the village so we can protect you, Naruto. Well, as you can see, I can handle the Akatsuki just fine, so I don't need the village's protection. I'll deal with Madara when the time suits me. So go back and tell Bar-chan to just leave me alone. I can't do that, Dobe. You have only 3 options on this matter. 1. You come back to the Leaf Village with me peacefully. 2. You come back to the Leaf Village with me in pieces after I get done kicking your ass. Or 3. You leave me no option except to eliminate you per Lady Tsunde's decree to prevent the Kyuubi falling into enemy hands. I don't want to fight you, Naruto, so please just come back with me. I'm sure whatever it is that's bothering you can be fixed. You have a lot of people back in Konoha who care about you deeply. So, Bar-chan actually issued the death sentence on me if I didn't return like a good little dog. How typical, someone else who supposedly loved me turning their back on me for their own selfish reasons. This is all a bunch of bullshit. If there are people back in the village who love and care about me and want me to come home, it's only because they haven't had their shot yet to tear me apart like everyone else who has professed to love me has done. Well, fuck them and fuck you, Uchiha, I'm not going back and that's final. Damn it, Naruto, I didn't want it to come to this. Sasuke angrily declared, before dropping into an attack stance 20 feet away from Naruto. We don't always get what we want, team. A lesson you never learned being the golden boy of the village who always got everything he wanted. However, it's a lesson I learned the hard way 3 times in my life. Sasuke could only shake his head sadly at his friend and was about to activate his Mangekyo Sharingan when a shout rang out. Back off, arsehole. Instantly a fiery blast of blue chakra slammed into Sasuke from behind and sent the Uchiha hurtling through the air before he crashed into a stone wall of the abandoned factory, bringing the majority of it down on top of him. Naruto looked over to see the young woman he had saved from the Akatsuki enveloped in a blue chakra shroud which resembled a cat. However, the shroud soon disappeared when he saw her fall to one knee in obvious pain and exhaustion. Rushing over to help his fellow Jinchuriki, Naruto knelt down and offered his hand to the young woman, who looked up and said in desperation, "Forget about me, go finish that guy off I knocked into the wall before he recovers. That was the last shot of chakra I had and you've got to be running low after your fight. So hurry up and go kill that asshole before he wakes up." Ha, 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 I can't kill the team when he's unconscious. When we fight each other to the death it will be when we're both at full strength. He deserves nothing less than that and neither do I. You're a strange Jinchuriki. What is your name? My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, but most people call me Naruto. The blonde leaf missing nin answered, as he removed his mask. Namikaze. Are you related to the Yondaime Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves, Minato Namikaze? He was my father. So your own father sealed the Kyuubi no Yuko demon within you, that's incredible. Yeah, it's been a barrel of laughs. So, I told you my name, what's yours? I'm sorry, my name is Niyugito and as you have already figured out, I'm the Jinchuriki vessel of Nibi the two-tailed cat demon. Well Yugito, if you feel up to it, let's go track down that other Akatsuki prick who was chasing after you and give him a painful death. What do you say? Naruto asked, while picking up Samehada before sealing the mighty sword away into a storage scroll. Hi, I would like that very much, Namikaze-sama. Naruto, just call me Naruto, okay Yugito. Hi, Naruto-sama. We'll work on it. Hey Nell-chan, did you enjoy the show? Yugito looked up to see a little girl wearing a green dress with matching colored hair adorned with a strange-looking skull-type hat atop her head sitting in the tree she had been resting against, clapping and smiling at Naruto. You're the best, Naru-kun. Nell giggled happily in response. Come on Yugito, let me introduce you Nell, then we can go after Deidara and... Naruto stopped talking mid-sentence when he suddenly felt 3 all too familiar chakra signatures heading towards them at impressive speed. Pinching the bridge of his nose in frustration, the blonde Jinchuriki could think of only one thing to say. Oh crap, not them. Naruto knew exactly who the 3 guests heading towards him were and he was loath to fight them. In truth he knew he could decimate all of them quite easily, but he had no desire to do so. The blonde Jinchuriki bore no ill will towards them other than the fact they represented the very place he was trying to get away from. No, I don't want to have to hurt them. Please Kami, send them away from here. However, it would seem that the great deity was ignoring his prayer, as rapid footfalls reached his Jinchuriki-enhanced ears. They were coming and they were coming fast. Great, Naruto hissed in aggravation, before he pulled his mask back on with a fierce tug. Reaching up he quickly placed Nell onto his shoulder while sternly saying in his mask-distorted voice. Hang on Nell-chan, we've got to go and go right, now. Nell pouted upon hearing this, as she wanted to play with Naruto and his new friend. Or, do we have to go? Then Nell's Arrancar senses picked up the energy signatures of 3 people heading towards them and her pout quickly became a look of concern and she obediently wrapped arms around her adoptive father's neck and said, I'm all set Naru-kun, but what about the Lady-chan here? Naruto turned to look at the Yugito who was struggling just to stand and with a sharp intake of breath he realized that his adoptive daughter had a strong point. He couldn't just leave her here. What if the Akatsuki came back or what if the incoming trouble decided to take her back to the village for questioning? Naruto knew in her present weakened condition she would be defenseless. But if he took her with them he would be putting her in even more danger for what he has planned. Naruto was uncertain of what to do and in deep contemplation when the Kyuubi's voice cried out in his mind. Kit, they're less than a half mile from here and closing fast. You better decide what you're going to do quickly. Damn it. Naruto silently cussed. As if Kami was trying to make Naruto's life more difficult, the sky rumbled with thunder and a thick curtain of rain began to fall. Yugito stifled a surprised gasp when Naruto wrapped his arm around her waist and jumped straight up into the thick branches and foliage of the tree they were standing under. Setting his weary and injured fellow Jinchuriki down on a branch next to him and then checking to make sure Nell was secure. Naruto began to lower his chakra levels to an almost imperceptible level, maintaining only enough to utilize a henge jutsu to camouflage and blend them into the tree foliage completely, as he quietly stated. Nell-chan, Yugito, I need you two to remain as silent as possible. Nell merely nodded her head in acceptance and Yugito followed in suit, but shivered with fear at the sound of Naruto's masked voice and silently berated herself. It's just a mask, quit being such a scaredy cat. Hey, Nibby shouted in her head in righteous indignation. Hinata bore a look of grim determination on her face, as she left the wave country following the now cold trail of Naruto in hopes that she would run into him. It had taken her longer than she would have liked to get to the wave country upon hearing the rumor that the hero of that country had returned there. Unfortunately, Naruto was gone by the time she had arrived and Tazuna had already passed the word around that anyone from Konoha inquiring about Naruto or his whereabouts was to be told nothing. Hinata had then spent a long and fruitless day of questioning the wave country inhabitants and receiving no information about Naruto. Disheartened, the former Hyuga heiress found herself at a local temple and weeping prayed to Kami to help her love Naruto. Kami must have heard her prayer because a woman who had just entered the temple heard Hinata's heartfelt prayer and the anguished tone in which it was given. The woman walked over to console the young woman and after a few minutes of talking with one another, Tsunami realized this was not one of the people who Naruto needed protection from. Taking Hinata back to her house, the only daughter of Tazuna the bridge builder and the Wave Village's current chief and leader made certain her father shared any information he had about Naruto with Hinata or there would be hell to pay otherwise. Afterwards, Hinata resumed her journey to find Naruto, as she quickened her pace and thought to herself. Naruto-kun, where are you my love? Gone was her usual outfit exchanged for a nondescript long black-sleeved shirt, that fit her snugly and bore a kanji for, hope, on the back that Tsunami had sewn on for her. Also, she now wore long black hip hugger pants along with knee-high boots, which made her plain outfit complete. Hinata also bore a black pack now worn over her left shoulder and her leaf headband was nowhere to be seen. Hinata's once long indigo-colored hair had now been cut and was at shoulder length only, and tied with an orange-colored ribbon into a small ponytail. On the lower part of her face, she wore a white mask that hid the defining features of it. However, even with her face hidden except for her lavender eyes along with the alluring curves of her body, Hinata still she drew the stare of many a passerby, especially the men so great was her natural beauty. Hinata also sported a katana blade strapped to her back as well courtesy of a wave country mask maker she had questioned thanks to Tazuna's information. At first the man was reluctant to share anything, but it's amazing what a fistful of money and the threat of a Juoken fist to his face unless he talked was enough to convince the old man to speak. After that, she had trekked on with the aid of a tracking hound she had borrowed from the Inuzuka compound and they were following the scent of Naruto they had been able to detect from the mask maker's shop. Soon to Hinata's horror she came across the scene of a battle and Naruto's scent was mingled with the unmistakable odor of blood, as was told her by said dog. Worried that Naruto had been injured, Hinata was relieved when the dog informed her that the blood came from 2 separate males and that there was also a scent of a female in the area as well. Naruto-kun must have run into an Anbu tracking squad, as most of them are set up with 2 males and a female on each squad. I pray to Kami he wasn't hurt. Hinata thought with concern before remembering that her sudden disappearance would also have Anbu after her as she commented to herself. I hope I'm able to find Naru-kun, before the trackers find me. Several hours later Hinata soon found a campsite with the rotting corpses of several men strewn about. It was a gruesome sight, but then Hinata recognized the men as part of an infamous group of thieves called the Crimson Bandits she had been hearing about during her travels. According to her canine companion, Naruto's scent was intermixed with all the blood, proving he had been there and most likely had been the one to dispatch these men. After milling around a bit, the tracking hound had finally picked up the scent trail of which direction Naruto had left, and then the duo was off again in pursuit. After a short while, once again Hinata and her dog came across a scene of death. However, this time it was of a single individual, and by the looks of him Hinata wasn't even sure if the man was human. Aside from the fact that the man's head, which was adorned with some sort of skull-like mask on the left side of his face, was no longer attached to his body. The most peculiar feature of the corpse was that he bore 3 stumps instead of arms on the left side of his body and 2 stumps on the right side. Also the lone remaining arm on the right side of the man's body, and was holding some type of curved type of weapon. It saddened Hinata to know that Naruto was capable of such killing, but not surprising. After all, before he left Naruto had broken Hitachi Sakumo, the legendary White Fang, and Hitachi Kakashi father's record for most kills in Anbu history. It had garnered Naruto much praise and accolades throughout the village from both shinobi and civilians alike. Hinata knew that killing was a part of any shinobi's life and had accepted that long ago, but it was the brutality and viciousness of these killings that concerned her the most. Pushing her anxiety aside, Hinata asked her canine partner how long ago Naruto had been there and was pleased to hear that she was only a day behind. Unfortunately, the hound also informed her that Naruto was no longer traveling alone, as he could detect the scent of a female intermixed with his own. Now, a new anxiety was beginning to grow within Hinata. She was catching up to Naruto. But what would happen when she did catch him? What would he say? What would he do? Who was this girl Naruto is with now? The last question she had silently asked herself filled Hinata with the most dread. Suddenly, and for some strange reason, she stopped, drawing a confused look from the hound, as she gazed down at her left hand, her gaze narrowing to focus on her finger that bore the ring symbolizing her marriage to Kiba. This little gold ring had undoubtedly been part of the reason Naruto had left the village. It had been her fault. If only she could have told Naruto the truth 3 years ago. Maybe there could have been a way to stand up to her father. However, Hinata knew that there was nothing she could do other than what she did back then, and heaved a heavy sigh of regret and frustration. Once she caught up to Naruto, she could finally tell him the truth and prayed Naruto would understand her reasons for marrying Kiba. But while Naruto may understand her reasons, was no guarantee that he would still forgive her, and the thought of that filled Hinata with misery and terror. Then her thoughts turned to those of Kiba, and Hinata's face took on an image of anger. She did not love him, and he knew that. She loved Naruto, and he knew that as well. Yet the Inuzuka heir, and supposedly one of Naruto's closest friends as well as her own, did nothing to stop the arranged marriage. In fact, he had been as duplicitous as her father in the matter, and for that she hated him. Not to even mention what a sham of a marriage it had been during these past 3 years. Still, while Kiba and her father had been the catalyst, in the end there was only one person Hinata blamed for the marriage, and her own and Naruto's pain and unhappiness. It was all her fault. You stupid ring, I never want to see you again. I hate you. She hissed loudly, and in one forceful movement she had plucked the ring from her finger and held it in the palm of her hand, as her body quivered with rage. Then, spying a nearby river, she heaved the ring with all her might into its briny depths. Then there was a crack of thunder, and the sky opened up in a rain as if to hide the tears streaming down her face. Hinata knew that with this rain her canine would no longer be able to track Naruto's scent. So, she now bid her tracking hound farewell, telling the dog that she could take it from here and for him to return to the Inuzuka compound. You have been working hard and have been most helpful. With a grateful woof, the dog turned on its paws and headed off in the direction of the Leaf Village. Hinata then turned on her heels and full of determination resumed her trek to follow the trail of her love, albeit alone from now on as she thought of Naruto. However, Hinata was not the only one who was currently thinking of the once happy and playful blonde. For back in the Leaf Village, a certain pink-haired Kunoichi was looking with tears misting in her emerald eyes at a picture of Naruto and her. Sakura had learned of Naruto's missing nin status when Shikamaru and Chuji had been brought into the hospital with the injuries they had suffered by his hands. She was shocked at the extent of Chuji's injuries and couldn't believe that the Naruto she knew would do that to one of his closest friends. However, Sakura then realized that the Naruto she knew was gone and the Naruto she had helped to create over the past few years, she didn't know at all. Sakura sat upon her bed, as she gazed upon the picture and reminisced about the happier times for him and her. The photo depicted the two holding hands with Naruto smiling from ear to ear, as Sakura leaned in to give him a kiss on the cheek. What was I thinking? The best thing to ever happen for me and I threw him away like an idiot. Sakura screamed at herself in self-recrimination. That picture had been taken before Sasuke had been brought back to the Leaf, before she had made the biggest mistake in her life in breaking Naruto's heart by choosing the Uchiha over him yet again. What's worse is that Sakura now realized that she had 3 wonderful years with Naruto before the blonde Jinchuriki had brought the Sasuke back, fulfilling his promise to her. And what does she do the moment that happens? Sakura thought to herself. I immediately go back into my 12-years-old fangirl mode and forget about everything I had with Naruto-kun because I thought Sasuke would make me the happiest woman alive. Baka, she yelled at herself, while looking down at the photo. Soon, tears leaked from her eyes to fall on the photo that she was now clenching tightly to her chest, as her pink hair hung down into her face, while her body shook with sobs. Sakura was more miserable now than ever, now that she had realized that she wanted Naruto and had even broken off the engagement with Sasuke just for him. But she had been too late, years too late. Sakura had never seen him sadder or more broken than the day that she and Sasuke had informed him of their engagement. It hurt her even worse when Naruto lashed out with such anger towards them when they had pressed the issue with him. However, the pain of that night was nothing compared to the pain she felt when Naruto had erupted out with such venom and hatred at her when she had tried to apologize to him. Sakura remembered she was also going to inform Naruto of breaking her engagement with Sasuke just to be with him. Looking back at that now, Sakura wondered how stupid she would have been had she attempted it. She had taken his heart, and stomped on it just like she always had. Then, as her pink hair tickled her nose, Sakura felt something snap inside, as she made up her mind for the last time. Sakura wanted him, Naruto Uzumaki, and she would love no one else but him. With her hands shaking from remorse, anger, and grief, Sakura dropped the photo and reached under her bed for her shinobi knapsack. As soon as she found it, Sakura tucked the photo within the faded bag and then slinging the pack over her shoulder headed to the kitchen to get food and supplies, as she thought to herself. I'm going after Naruto-kun. I'm going to prove to him how sorry I am and how much I truly love him or die trying. They're here. Naruto quietly whispered to his 2 companions. As Yugito focused her eyesight through the rain, she saw a young man appear in a flash wearing green spandex and sporting bushy eyebrows looking around the area Naruto's battle had taken place. Wiping the rain from his eyes and blinking, he saw nothing but the battered remains of an old factory and a lone tree nearby about 100 yards away. Then a male voice called out from behind the young man. See anyone, Lee? The taijutsu master frowned as he kept searching, but saw no one as he replied. I see no one, Neji, but it is difficult for my flames of youth to see through this torrential downpour. Are you sure this is the location where you spotted all of those strong chakra signatures? A moment later 2 more people appeared. One a girl with brunette hair tied into buns on the sides of her head, while the other was a male wearing the traditional robes of the Hyuga clan who then activated his Byakugan and began scanning the area, piercing through all about him, as the colors faded to gray and his vision expanded to nearly 360 degrees. For a second, Neji paused and steeled his gaze towards the lone tree a short distance away. Naruto began to grow a little nervous before the sound of a brick falling to the ground diverted Neji's attention and he shouted. Over there, Lee, I detect a strong chakra signature underneath that rubble. In a moment, all 3 members of Team Guy were removing the bricks and stones only to discover to their surprise that the source of that chakra signature was none other than Sasuke. As Lee and Tenten were helping the Uchiha to his feet, Neji asked with disdain dripping from his voice. Why are you here, Uchiha? I'm here, Hyuga, because I'm under orders from Lady Tsunade to find and retrieve Naruto. He was here just a little while ago, but I wasn't able to capture him. So the great Uchiha failed. Neji spat with contempt. I failed Hyuga because I got blindsided by a Jinchuriki woman Naruto had rescued from a couple of Akatsuki members. What happened, Sasuke? Tenten inquired, trying to diffuse the tension growing between him and Neji. I found Naruto just as he had engaged one of the Akatsuki in battle. It was Sugetsu, my former subordinate in Team Heavy years ago. From what I could gather from the conversation during the fight was that Sugetsu and his partner Deidara were after the girl because she is Jinchuriki. They were about to capture her when Naruto stepped in and saved her. He took out Sugetsu without too much trouble and was going to go after Deidara when the Dobe sensed my chakra and called me out. Then what happened? At first nothing, I just tried to talk him into returning to the village and told him the consequences of what might happen if he didn't. But Naruto is so full of anger and pain about Konoha and the people within it that he refused to listen and said he is done with the Leaf Village now and forever. After realizing nothing I said would change his mind, I got ready to fight the Dobe, but then got sucker punched by the girl and he got away. It is sad that Naruto's flames of youth have been dampened over the years. Well, you can thank the Hyuga's slut cousin for marrying the Inuzuka mutt and turning Naruto into the man he now is. The Dobe should be grateful he didn't marry the tramp if her love could so easily go from him to Kiba. If Naruto had stayed with her she would have only two-timed him behind his bar. Sasuke never got a chance to finish his sentence when a fist impacted his nose, breaking it and dropped the Uchiha to the ground. Before Sasuke could recover, a hand firmly gripped the front of his Anbu vest, pulling him up to look directly into Neji's enraged face, who had his fist cocked back ready to deliver another strike, as spat with malevolence at him. You arrogant Uchiha pig. To lay sole blame onto Lady Hinata for turning Naruto into the man he is now when you and that pink-haired bitch of yours had just as much a hand in causing Naruto pain is offensive. Get your hands off of me, you Hyuga freak. Sakura and I haven't done anything to Naruto. Really, Uchiha? Well, let me tell you what you and your whore did to him. Neji. Tenten sternly shouted out, stopping the young Hyuga before adding. Remember what Naruto asked and that you gave your word to. After a few intense seconds passed, Neji let go of Sasuke with frustration and disgust before nodding to Tenten in understanding. However, it was not easy for the Hyuga male, as hearing Sasuke lay complete blame onto Hinata for what has happened to Naruto so infuriated him he hadn't even bothered to activate his Byakugan or even deliver a Juoken strike. Sasuke had merely received a straight blow to the face powered by nothing more than his rage and contempt he felt for the Uchiha. Taking a moment to calm himself, Neji glared back at Sasuke and said, Lady Hinata's marriage to the mongrel was a disturbing event for all of us, and none more so than Hinata herself. I cannot tell you, Uchiha, why she went through with it, as I do not know. However, I suspect that there is a reason that none of us know about for why she did. And it has nothing to do with her loving Kiba over Naruto. In fact, I can assure you that Lady Hinata has never stopped loving Naruto and has suffered greatly these past 3 years because of it. Naruto's face grimaced in pain as he heard Neji's words with his QB-enhanced hearing. Unfortunately, he knew the truth, as he had given Hinata a chance to explain why she was marrying Kiba. Regrettably, she never did. As Neji's words also sunk into Sasuke's head, he was about to ask why the Hyuga was placing blame on him and Sakura. However, before he could inquire further, a messenger falcon streaked down from the sky and landed upon Lee's shoulder. Tenten quickly unfurled the message attached to the bird's leg and read it. What does it say, Tenten? Lady Tsunade is recalling us from searching for Naruto. We're to report back to the Leaf Village at once for further instructions. Very well, since we missed our opportunity to capture Naruto in the first place. We'll spend the night in that small town we passed a few miles back to get out of the rain before returning to the Leaf Village. Come, Tenten, Lee, I wish to get out of this interminable downpour as soon as possible. Neji ordered with authority to his two teammates. As Lee and Tenten followed behind Neji, the Kunoichi paused and turned around to ask. Sasuke, do wish accompany us and get out of the rain? No. I've got someone I need to see and they are about 2 days travel from here. Suit yourself, Tenten replied, as she watched Sasuke leap away before running to catch up with her teammates. Once the sound of the voices of Team Guy had finally faded away, Naruto breathed a sigh of relief, as he removed his mask and jumped down to the ground with Nel secure on his shoulder. They were safe. For now. Yugito jumped down from the tree and fell to one knee as she landed. It was quite evident that she was still very weak from her battle with the Akatsuki. Looking up, Doe brown eyes met sapphire blue, and in that instant she looked down, as he extended his hand to her, whilst Nell stared at Yugito with piqued curiosity. Hesitantly, Yugito grasped Naruto's hand and allowed him to help her to stand before she asked. Who were those guys? I have little time, so I will make this quick. Those guys were Anbu from the Hidden Leaf Village, and they are in pursuit of me because I'm a missing nin from that village. Now, I could leave you here. Naruto momentarily saw panic flash through Yugito's eyes, before it vanished and was forced down by her, as he mentally commended her for that feat. She controls her emotions well. But, that would leave you easy prey to the Akatsuki, who are the ones who attacked you, by the way. I know all about the Akatsuki, I've been their prisoner for the last 8 years. Yugito spat with anger and disgust. If she's been a captive of the Akatsuki, perhaps she will be of use to us. You should take her along, Kit, and get whatever information you can from her. Plus, once she's healed, she could be a powerful ally since she holds the Nibi. And even you have to admit she's not bad to look at either. Perhaps you and her could even. Kyuubi voiced out within Naruto's mind. Knock it off, you perverted fox. Your other points are valid, but I'm not going to ask her to join us just so I can get laid. Well, you should, Kit. You've been living like a monk for the last 2 years ever since that blonde bitch dumped you, and I'm sick of it. I want to see some action. Enough. I'm not having this conversation with you right now. Naruto shouted back with righteous anger before turning his attention back to Yugito. Well, since you know about the Akatsuki and what they do. As a fellow Jinchuriki, it would not sit well with me to leave you on your own against them. Naruto then stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder, whilst his other went under her arms to support her. Yugito's face blushed red at this, but it was only for the briefest of seconds and it was gone before he could notice it. Naruto was too caught up in those eyes of hers anyway. He had been staring into those deep brown pools the entire time, and he felt hypnotized by her calm yet slightly nervous stare. Naruto's next words finally got her mind working again, as shock and surprise set in. Care to join up with us? Yugito's eyes widened a bit at that, but after seeing the way he had dispatched Sugetsu with less than half his true strength. The voice of the Nibi, the two-tailed cat demon, purred her inside her mind. The tone of that cat was laced with curiosity, as which all felines were infamous for. That, and what felt like desire. I think we would be safe with this one kitten. Even though I can sense he is troubled and harboring a lot of pain and anger, he also seems to be of pure heart, and if he is indeed the vessel of the Kyuubi, then perhaps we could. Nibi's thoughts stopped there, as Yugito forcefully protested with all her might. Whoa, Miss Pervert. Don't be getting any ideas there, I don't even know him. That can easily be solved, and you know what I mean. Nibi seductively purred. The sound of Naruto's voice interrupted Yugito and Nibi's conversation. So about my offer, interested? There's safety in numbers after all. Okay, if I say yes, I just have one condition. Yugito replied before she brought her face dangerously close to his, and Naruto blushed a bit at that. Her voice held just a hint of desire as she spoke. Will you treat me right, with respect I mean? Of course I'll treat you with respect. Thank you, Naruto-sama. Again with the sama, oh well, like I said, we'll work on it. Naruto thought to himself before saying. Sure. Now let's go. I have a. The blonde Jinchuriki was interrupted when he heard the screeching sound of the flare, long before its ruby red light lit up the sky for miles around, casting a red curtain of light about all nearby. He stared at it for a moment, then ever so slowly, a predatory grin formed on his face. A second later, he was running towards it with Yugito in hot pursuit, calling out to him, as she struggled to keep up. Where are we going? To get me an army. Naruto's tone was filled with arrogant confidence, as he took to the trees, all the while with Nell chatting away in his ear. Naru-kun, ith the cat lady going to be living with Uth from now on? Hi Nell-chan, she'll be traveling with us for a while. Yare, maybe she can be that wife-chan you need. The simultaneous squawk of surprise from the two Jinchuriki could be heard for miles around. Nani, that will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.